they have had like no food.
Here's an article from a publication called The South African. No food, job, or phones. Afrikana refugee family stranded in U.S. American Dream. An Afrikana refugee family has been left without assistance, including food, after arriving in the U.S. and is appealing for help on Facebook. The startling revelation was made by a South African expat on TikTok. Was reportedly stranded at a hotel in Montana without food, money, or a cell phone. Instead, they reached out to a Facebook group for help. The woman said of the refugees, they were understanding that they would be arriving here for complete or maybe with complete assistance. People thought they would be arriving at a house, a job, medical insurance, and other things. It isn't that way at all. She added, because of the political situation, they are really struggling to get jobs. Says no help from S.A Embassy. Last month, the Department of International Relations stated that South African refugees in the United States would not have access to any diplomatic assistance whilst abroad. The persecuted South Africans would instead be assisted by the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, which was signed as an executive order by Trump. As part of the Afrikaner Act, the group was also given priority to refugee status, which provides them with startup assistance like money, jobs, and even a house. That's really nice of them. They didn't do this for other people seeking asylum, but okay. But obviously it didn't happen because Trump's a liar. Can they return to South Africa? According to DIRCO spokesperson Crispin Fury, refugees simply can't return home for a braai and go back. I'm not sure what a braai is, but obviously they can't just go back because they were seeking refugee status for a reason.
Did you see this video of this woman from South Africa talking about how on a Facebook group she saw that Afrikaner refugees here in the U.S. are struggling and are thinking about going back?
Family of refugees has been placed in this town, and they have had like no food. I know that there's this, and I don't know what to think because I didn't really follow it at all when it happened. But I think they were of the understanding that they were going to be arriving here to like complete assistance. And I think people here thought that they were going to be arriving to a house and a job and medical insurance and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it actually isn't that way at all.
Hey my people, Gracie here once again, welcoming you back to the channel. I hope that from wherever you my lovelies are watching this from, you are doing all right and God has protected you and preserved you very well. Hoping you're staying safe, right? And yes, as usual, I do appreciate the people that continuously give support to the channel. Thank you so very much. Generous souls that give me super thanks and super chats, I do appreciate you as well so very much. My members, you guys doing amazing. You're very special. Thank you so very much for always supporting through the membership program, and of course the door is always open to anybody that wants to join in. The packages are very affordable. But let's get out of that one. Yes, let's get into today's video. Today we have another interesting episode to look at, and today's video is in regards to the Boers that went to America as refugees, right? There's a lady that made a video saying that she was reached out because she's in a South African group, I think, something like that, and she's an expert, but she lives in the US, and she was reached out to help a certain family of the refugees that have just come to the US, and they didn't have food. Let's say they were starving. I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, yes, and they reached out to her to go and help, and she narrated the story in here, which I don't want to really get into. It sparked a lot of reactions from other people, including those that believe that this is fake news and those that are saying this is not fake news. And in regards to this news, South Africa has well responded, and they're like, you know, these people are not welcome, then they can't expect anything, any help or support from South Africa, or even they can't even be expected to go back because they are refugees anyway. So we're going to look at these videos together. We'll come back and talk about it. Do me a favor, like the video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think about these people that are starving.
Did you see this video of this woman from South Africa talking about how on a Facebook group she saw that Afrikaner refugees here in the U.S. are struggling and are thinking about going back?
Family of refugees has been placed in this town, and they have had like no food. I know that there's this, I don't know what you think because I didn't really follow it at all when it happened. But I think they were of the understanding that they were going to be arriving here to like complete assistance. And I think people here thought that they were going to be arriving to a house and a job and medical insurance and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it it actually isn't that way at all. There have been like 4 adults in a hotel room with no money, no cell phone, no anything. And like the humanitarian in me, I can't ignore the fact that these people are struggling. But there's this one side of me that's like, fuck that.
If you hadn't heard the story, Trump has been letting Afrikaner refugees, heavy on the quotes, into the US. They came here with the lie that the South African government is persecuting them because they're white. So at a time where Trump is not allowing any refugees to come into the country, he is allowing Afrikaners into the country. And like this article perfectly states, they're not refugees, they're opportunists. And these opportunists really thought that when they got to the US, they were going to get a house, a job, a car, a cell phone, health insurance completely paid for. They really thought that Daddy Donnie was going to take taxpayer money and give it to them. You know, believing all those lies that people of color come to the US to seek refugee or asylum, and then they have it on easy street, which, surprise, surprise, it's not true. And it doesn't matter how much those South Africans hate it here, they can't just go back home. Like the Department of International Relations said, these Afrikaner refugees cannot just go back to South Africa or get assistance from South Africa because they're supposed to be under the protection of the United States and Donald Trump. And if these Afrikaner refugees want to be welcomed back as citizens, they have to revoke their status in order for this to happen. So if these Afrikaners are struggling in the US and they want to go back home, basically they have to admit, we lied. I think it's kind of humorous to me that their lies have backfired on them and that Donald Trump has left them stranded. However, it's very frustrating that people who actually have to seek asylum and refuge in the US because they're trying to escape danger and persecution are not being allowed in, but these opportunists are being fast-tracked. And as always, please consider becoming a paid subscriber on here so I can continue bringing you stories like these.
Despite all of the rhetoric surrounding the bloody mass deportations, we have to remember that the Trump regime allowed these white South Afrikaners to come here on refugee status. Supposedly, these people were experiencing a genocide, and he was like, come on in. Y'all are just getting it so terribly over in your country, so he let these people come in. I'm going to get back to the Afrikaners. But just the other day, I posted this picture in my YouTube community, and I was talking about the National Guard that were sleeping on the floor in these federal buildings. And it was being reported that the Trump regime sent them out to LA without food or water. They didn't have accommodations set up. And people jumped into my comment section to say, this is the life. This is the life that they chose. Because what I had said is, I was like, any mom that has gone on a trip could have done a better job at setting up accommodations for these people than the Trump regime. And people just made it like, I just didn't know what was going on. And I'm using this picture to show that this Trump regime, they do not have any planning foresight. They do things to make headlines, but then the follow through, the planning and all of that is pretty sad. So like I said, let's talk about these Afrikaners that came here on refugee status. Here's an article from a publication called The South African. No food, job, or phones. Afrikaner refugee family stranded in U.S. American dream, an Afrikaner refugee family has been left without assistance, including food, after arriving in the U.S. And this is basically just another example of how they just make plans or make headlines, but then forget that these are actual people, like how they planned all of the bloody mass deportations and then forgot that these people actually work here. It's like they have no thought of what's going to happen next. So let's get into this article. An Afrikaner refugee family has reportedly been left stranded in the U.S. and is appealing for help on Facebook. The startling revelation was made by a South African expat on TikTok. 2 groups of white South Africans have taken up refugee status in the U.S. in recent weeks as part of a program open to persecuted people. Afrikaner refugees left stranded. On her TikTok account, South African expat @CatMPT revealed that she had come across an Afrikaner refugee family in dire need of help. The family of 4 was reportedly stranded at a hotel in Montana without food, money, or cell phone. Instead, they reached out to a Facebook group for help. The woman said of the refugees, they were understanding that they would be arriving here for complete or maybe with complete assistance. People thought they would be arriving at a house, a job, medical insurance, and other things. It isn't that way at all. She added, because of the political situation, they are really struggling to get jobs. The woman revealed that she left South Africa more than a decade ago, but had gone through a lengthy process. She also criticized the Afrikaner refugees for having unrealistic expectations. She continued, one side of me is like, F that. My husband and I went through all of the red tape and we got our visas. We've got our green card. We've been here 10 years. We did everything the right way. Who does that sound like? That definitely sounds like something I've heard before. She continues with, here, these people, regardless of what they were promised, just came here expecting everything. Under the post, the woman added that she was assisting the family with a car as she was a humanitarian. Now, the post is no longer available. I went there this morning, but thankfully I saw this article yesterday. I had gone over to her page yesterday and I grabbed the video. I'll share the video at the end. All right, it says, no help from S.A Embassy. Last month, the Department of International Relations stated that South African refugees in the United States would not have access to any diplomatic assistance whilst abroad. The persecuted South Africans would instead be assisted by the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, which was signed as an executive order by Trump. As part of the Afrikaner Act, the group was also given priority to refugee status, which provides them with startup assistance like money, jobs, and even a house. That's really nice of them. They didn't do this for other people seeking asylum, but okay. But obviously it didn't happen because Trump's a liar. Can they return to South Africa? According to DIRCO spokesperson Crispin Fury, refugees simply can't return home for a braai and go back. I'm not sure what a braai is, but obviously they can't just go back because they were seeking refugee status for a reason. It was so dangerous. There was a genocide there. He added, even the word itself, refugee, suggests you are seeking refuge from a particular country. You can't be seeking refugee status, then go back home, have a braai, and then go back. Maybe have a vacation. I don't know, have some rest. It defeats the purpose of you being protected and a refugee of a particular country. Plus, they said it was so violent out there for the white South Afrikaners. Why would these people go back? For Afrikaner refugees hoping to return home willingly for good voluntary repatriation is always an option. Organizations like the UNHCR help those who wish to travel back to their countries by providing financial assistance. DIRCO added that the refugees would be welcomed back as citizens. However, they would have to revoke their status in order for this to happen. Do you think the Afrikaner refugees were unrealistic about expecting a better life in the United States? Yes, but still, they thought that they were special, and the people that allowed them to come here, they took some pictures, they made some headlines, and now they are done with these people. I'm not exactly sure, but there's so much going on. And now the funny thing is, these poor MAGAs, the unhealthy MAGAs, should be kind of upset that the white South Afrikaners would be getting money, food, health insurance. They should be upset about that because these people's health insurance, money assistance is being snatched from them. All right, now, I told y'all Cat PMT snatched that video down. When I went to her page this morning, she says, "Thank you for visiting my page. The video you've come to see has been taken down due to constant flagging by the platform for bullying. It has also caused enough damage by fanning the flames of a fire that I did not realize existed. My hope is to use this page to show the difficulties and challenges a person faces when moving to a new country, but in a fun and educational way. The correct people have now stepped in to make sure all parties get what they need." And actually, since she got her page, the video taken down for bullying, if you are on TikTok watching this, I'm not going to put this video here. I'm not going to have my video pulled down for bullying. You can come over to Bourbon Bougie, that girl on the YouTubes. I'm right here, Bourbon Bougie. You can find the remainder of the video over there. Plus, TikTok has demonetized me anyway. So if you want to watch the whole video, come over there. It's going to be at the tail end of this video if you want to see what Kat was saying about the refugees.
So I was sent a video that was circulating, and it's by a lady called Kat, and she is a South African that is based in the US, and she highlighted that she had seen these Facebook posts in South African groups that she belongs to, where it was about 4 adults sitting in a hotel room in a little town that are struggling, and they're part of the South African refugees. Now, for me, as I've mentioned before, I haven't got an issue with the people that have taken a chance. I have got an issue around the disinformation campaign that ran up to this, and also some of the disinformation spread by certain refugees when they got to that site, when they spoke to the American press. And in this video, Kat's highlighting the things that she says they're struggling with. She did mention food, but I know, I've been following the program, is that part of the refugee program is that you will be given at least breakfast in the hotel or the motel where they place you. For instance, the Langtons, which is the family of 9, the guy that owned the IT firm, he is in a motel, and he's in that motel with his entire family. He's also highlighted that they've got up to 3 months to, make sure that they get jobs and get on their feet and stuff like that. So their assistance, according to him, is only for 3 months. But I posted then on X that these groups that are preparing people to go there need to actually make sure that they do the right thing and they prepare them, because being in a total different country where you can't just pick up a phone is an issue. Not having a vehicle, getting acclimatized, etc. is an issue. But now, for me, my post wasn't about the people. Okay, my issue is that if you are still running these groups like the Amerikaners, then do your job and make sure that people understand that this is not a cakewalk. No refugee program is. NGOs are assisting you on that side, and they are dealing with a number of refugees. Often refugees that get there with only their shirts on their back, because they are coming from war-torn countries, for instance. So this then caused an entire outcry by a certain group of people that are very angry. First of all, I think they're possibly angry with Kat for highlighting that people need help. She didn't, and I want to be very clear, put anyone's life in danger. She was just highlighting how she was feeling about that particular situation, and also she is actually a humanitarian, so she is going out of her way to assist these people that are in this little town. But it's like the group on this side don't want to take responsibility and accountability for ensuring that people are actually prepared for what they can experience on that side. So because of my post on X, which doesn't reference the people, it references their struggle, but it highlights that my focus is actually on the groups that are that have, I must say, a number of them spread a lot of disinformation when it comes to South Africa, but they should be focusing on preparing people for what to expect on that end. So I know Kat made a video saying I didn't contact her, but I didn't contact her because my issue is not with the people. My issue is with the groups that are in South Africa. And yeah, so it's now a total outcry, and the Amerikaners are sure that I'm a shill for the government, according to very American talking points on this. But for me, they must just get their act together and do what they need to do, and not actually sell this American dream story and explain to people that they are going to go through a tough time.
They have had like no food.
This woman who goes by the name of Kat here on TikTok has lived in Montana in the US for 10 years, immigrated ages ago, quite legitimately, not part of these ridiculous white refugees who are part of this political stunt. And she says that via various Facebook groups for South Africans that she's still part of, someone reached out to her to help a family of 4 refugees that was stranded in a hotel with no food, no cell phones, no money, and they're absolutely desperate. And now she's at this crossroads about whether to help them or not. She says in later videos that she does go on to help them, but this just shows, what do these people expect? They're going to a country that doesn't care for its own citizens. Trump's big, beautiful bill is going to increase tax breaks for the rich by taking food stamps away from the poor and Medicare assistance. They shouldn't be surprised by this.
Y'all, look, I'm at work filming this because when I saw this, it can't wait till I get home. It says Trump's Africana refugees. Abandoned, miserable, and missing South Africa. So y'all know he promised them homes, jobs, medical insurance. But instead of the white picket fence and the American dream, he told them it was going to. Y'all, they've been stuck in a hotel in Montana with no food, no money, no cell phone, and with everything going on, they can't get a job. Child, why them folks? Why them folks on Facebook begging?
Hey folks, Chris here in central Pennsylvania once again. Even on a slow news day, people generate news. Now, I'm in the middle of nowhere here on a backcountry road, not too far from Yellow Breeches Creek, a world-renowned bass and fly fishing location. A road that you wouldn't expect much traffic, but mark my words, somebody will probably come down this road while I'm filming. We'll see. But even on slow news days, stories come that make you shake your head and have you refute the nonsense. And this one in the South African. The title of this one is No Food, Jobs, or Phones, Afrikaner Refugee, in quotations, family stranded in the U.S. Well, okay, the question whether stranded is in quotes because we don't know if that's true. But the refugee thing, once again, South African media, this is the South African, and they're putting it in quotes. Why? These people are legal refugees. You may not like that, but that's U.S. law, and that's an eternal sovereign issue for us. South Africans are fond, especially politicians in the media, of saying that we're a sovereign nation. You are. You can do what you like within the norms of international relations. And so can we. We're a sovereign nation. This is our law, and these people have been granted refugee status because they're suffering from unjust racial discrimination, as per the conclusion of U.S. government officials. Case closed. Take the quotations off refugee. They are refugees. It's as simple as that. So they start the story off with a subtitle, American Dream, with a question mark. An Afrikaner refugee, once again quotes, family has been left without assistance, including food, after arriving in the United States. Now, I've researched this story and I've talked to people involved who know what's going on here, and the story's a lot more complicated than this story in the South African would lead you to believe. And there's a number of problems with the story, which I'm going to point out, okay? Also going to ask the question is, what passes for journalism in South Africa? This story appears to be simply cutting and pasting quotes and statements from other stories and from a video, not actually doing any analysis or actually reporting any news. So an Afrikaner refugee family reportedly been stranded in the U.S. and is appealing for help on Facebook. Well, that's a few days old now. They've gotten help, and not necessarily from Facebook, but from other Afrikaners who helped them out.
Well, this gentleman right here is refuting a story of the first lady that was in the clip saying that indeed they were struggling. But he's just admitted right now that indeed these people were struggling and someone reached out to them. So who is spreading propaganda over here except if you are working for somebody to clear his name? Let's keep watching.
The refugees. The startling revelation was made by a South African expat on TikTok. Your source is a TikTok video for someone with 300 or 400 followers on TikTok. Not that they can't produce good content, but that leads one to question the story from the very beginning, if that's your source. And that TikToker has since removed the video and published a new video in which they say that the information they had was third-hand. So they were relaying third-hand information, which you're now reporting as news on the South African, which would make it fourth-hand information. No primary sources, fourth-hand social media information. That's about as useful as flushing a toilet. Doesn't mean it can't be true, but you should get a source that confirms your information. And on her TikTok account, the South African expat who posted this video is mentioned here. I'm not going to go into who that is. But the person said the refugees, they were understanding that they would be arriving here in the U.S. for complete assistance. People thought they would be arriving at a house, a job, medical insurance, and other things. It isn't that way at all. Well, that statement's true. It isn't that way at all. And where did you come to the conclusion that they thought that? Did they tell you that? And who told them that? No one's ever told anyone that, to my knowledge. I've been very clear since February 7th about this program, what assistance is available, including the financial. And I was the first person to do that. And go ahead, dispute that. But the digits are there. The receipts are there. The video is posted, the 10th of February, something like that, maybe the 11th of February, that talks about financial assistance under the immigration nationality law for people coming over here. So who told them they were getting all these things? No one gives you jobs. This isn't South Africa. This isn't a patronage machine. Maybe Chicago, but the country is not a patronage machine. So this person who posted on TikTok is correct. It doesn't work that way. But where did you derive that from? Did they tell you that? You don't say. You just imply that that's what they said. And this person criticized the refugees, and once again, in quotations for refugees. Why? Here, these people, regardless of what they were promised, just came here expecting everything. Really? Well, if that's the case, then they really have unrealistic expectations because they were never told that. They were never told that. But she added here that they couldn't get a job. She said because of the political situation, they were really struggling to get jobs. Well, first off, they've been here less than a month. That's struggling to get a job? I seriously doubt that. I mean, I bet you a lot of these people came over, have been without jobs for 5, 10, 15 years or longer because of racism in South Africa and people being excluded from the job market because they're white or being made redundant or colored or Indian. So they can't get a job because of the political situation. What political situation are we talking about here? What political situation? The state in which this occurs, these people were doxxed, so I'm not telling any secret here. They've already been revealed, but I won't mention the state. But the state in which they now reside has an unemployment rate of, South Africa, it's over 40%, although the government claims it's 30+%. But the unemployment rate where they live is 2.7%. That's full employment, essentially. What political situation is keeping them from getting a job? They have legal status to get a job. They're not illegal immigrants, so they don't have to worry about ICE rounding them up and chasing them out. They're white. They're living in a state that's 90+% white. That'll help you narrow down where they're at in case you're nosy. Yeah. So what political situation is keeping them from getting a job? Is this just a gratuitous statement, or was it a claim by them? But see, this isn't news. This is just hearsay. Absolute hearsay. This isn't journalism. I mean, seriously, folks, this is what passes for journalism in South Africa. How do people even get qualified to be journalists in South Africa? Last month, this story says the director of the Department of International Relations, DIRCO, that's the foreign ministry, said that refugees, once again quotes, in the U.S. would not have access to any diplomatic assistance whilst abroad. Well, that's nonsense. That's factually untrue. Is the South African government denying South African citizens access to consular services in the United States? This is an issue. This is an issue. That's not legitimate. That's not allowed. You can't spitefully deny services to your citizens because they sought refuge abroad because of either conflict or governance issues in your country.
I don't even know if this gentleman is listening to himself or he's just talking just for the fact that he wants to talk. Literally, these people fled persecution, allegedly, right? And then you're saying that they have every right to go back and ask for assistance from the same government that has proven over and over that there's no G-side, right? And then he's like, these people can still go back. Then that, like, and that's where I find a problem, that these people literally lied, because if you're saying they really were persecuted, then they can't go back. They can't even ask for assistance at all. Because I mean, like, how do you ask for help from the same government that is persecuting you? Literally, you need to be far away from them, right? Anywho. Of course, I had to incorporate people that have different reactions. And then there's a man that is defending them, refugees, and he's saying that all of this is fake news because it can't be verified. He reached out to different sources and it looks like they can't verify it. Meanwhile, the lady that posted the video, it had to be taken down, right? And it looks like she, changed her mind on what to post and whether to, like, she said something about it with a sister that came to elaborate, I think, with what she saw on her page, right? And that's okay. But this palm-colored man that is saying that this is unverifiable and this is not true and this is propaganda and this is fake news. First of all, it might be fake news. Now, I'm not saying that it is true because I'm not there. I didn't interact with any of them. So it can be true or it can be, wrong, right? But if we are to go into who spreads the worst fake news, it's the trumpets. They made up a GO side. And you have the nerves to talk about people that spread fake news? I'm just saying. You have a group of people that made up a G side and they have convinced everyone, literally without evidence. Let's put that out there. The evidence that Trump brought in the Oval Office when President Ramaphosa was in the meeting, it was discovered that a lot of the pictures that he was showing, some of them were actually in the Congo. And the mass graves that they were talking about, it was for all the farm deaths of all the people, not these. So you're speaking about fake news. You have Elon Musk that created his AI that helped to spread this more, right? And you have Why South Afrikaners that came on the internet, they are saying this is not happening. Our country has a crime problem. We are not the victims here. And of course, they're going to use that song of, oh, analyze the Boers, you know, shoot the farmer and all of that, right? But Malema won the case. It wasn't literal, right? And we've seen quite a number of them, palm-colored people, burying our people alive, burying black South Africans alive, kicking them off the properties and literally owning majority of the wealth. And they are crying land appropriation. Is it expropriation or something like that? That land, whatever, that they are so mad about. That's why they wanted to flee. Because equality felt like oppression to them. And this man is coming out here saying that there's no evidence. Where's the evidence that indeed black people in South Africa are finishing everybody palm-colored in South Africa? Do you think we forget that when these people, the Afrikaners, when they go to other countries, they are a big problem? And even other fellow palm-colored people cannot tolerate them because of the level of entitlement they have and how they feel like they can literally take advantage of the fact that they are with palm-colored and be racist to other people. Like, I told you there's a palm-colored South African that came to this country, Uganda here. And the havoc he caused with the travel company of my brother. My brother. So don't come here saying, oh, you know, you don't have evidence and all of that, please. So yes, speaking of fake news, the trumpets are the breeders. They feed on this. They feed on propaganda. They lie every other single day. And for the Afrikaners to have the level of expectations they had, I think Americans told you before you even came. They warned you if you are out here, right? They really said you must have landed on quite a lot of things on the internet and you must have picked one thing or two. So just in case the expectations don't get met, right? You were told, right? It is possible that you may not get what was put out there for you. We don't know if this was a political move or this was just personal interests involved. And unfortunately, other people that thought this is transparency and everything is going to be going well had to be involved. Those are the Afrikaners, the Boers, right? They had to be involved in this, if it was personal interest between Trump and Musk. You guys had to be used for whatever that Elon wanted to get or Trump wanted to get. And so unfortunately, you probably are going through this. But if there's an Afrikaner that is out there, and you're brave enough to say, you know what? It's not going as we were told. And if you're getting what you were promised, amazing, amazing. Congratulations to your new life. And to those that are already missing home, man, I feel you. I feel you. But you burnt the bridges. And it is what it is. South Africa is like, we don't have any assistance to you. But to a lot of these palm-colored people that want to buy into the narrative that indeed palm-colored Afrikaners were going through a genocide and they are trying to support them. They're like, oh, you know what? Just know you bought into a propaganda and a narrative. Go to Cape Town and see that place, all of it is filled with these people. 70% is owned of the wealth is owned by these people. Where did they get it from? Apartheid, South Africa. So, if equality felt like oppression, welcome to the United States of America, where you have to pull yourself by the bootstraps, where you're not going to fit because you might think you are them, and they will be quick to remind you. In fact, a lot of them came and spoke a lot of things on the internet when they saw you coming. And they're like, we know your history. We have seen what you have done. Don't you dare yourself thinking that when you come here, you're going to be as bold, racist as you have been back then, thinking you're going to control and use black people. Hey, black people here ain't like that. Okay? Because the lady said the people that needed help, they got the help they needed, which means that was not a lie that she made up. So, yeah, America is a land of opportunities. I hope you dream big. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I think from me for today, that's it. I'll see you in another amazing video. Until then, my name is Gracie, and I love you. Bye-bye.